It's an important question on a lot of people's minds. How do you combat a cyber attack? We're going to find out a little bit more about it all. I'm Mike Loader, and the Tech Edge starts right now. Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech Edge, of course presented by the team at AvePoint, where each episode we delve into the latest industry trends for business IT and their significance in today's fast-paced landscape. Now in this episode we unveil the key to safeguarding your most crucial asset, your information, especially if you're a business. Joining us now is AvePoint Director of Information Management, Alyssa Blackburn. Information management, good thing you're here.
It is a good thing I'm here. We've had a number of cyber attacks in Australia over the last couple of years.
Big ones too. Really
big ones. Medibank, Optus, Latitude was another one. Mike, was fortunate enough to be caught up in all three of those.
Oh no.
So nailed it, 100%, yes. So
well done.
Indeed. And so protecting consumers' information is a massive, massive issue for organisations. In terms of trust, there's financial implications, things like that. Absolutely, which is why I'm really excited to talk to our guest today.
Well, let's bring him in and see what's what. Itzik Gur, the Chief Information Officer at Insentra. It's wonderful to have you on the program. Now, with the rise of remote work, let's start there, cloud-based services. What should businesses do with all of these hybrid employees they have going on at the moment?
It's a very good question, and I think it all comes down to how we adapted to the changes that actually happened over the past few years, where with the likes of COVID that got us all into the same situation very, very quickly. And I think that the key to all of this is changing the mindset from relying on the infrastructure being protected as a closed unit to try and protect everywhere, which starts from zero trust. If we come from a point of view of not trusting in the first place, then it becomes a lot easier to slowly start and release the areas that are available to us after we've analyzed and made sure that they are safe and secure for us.
Itzik, as I mentioned earlier, I got caught up in three really significant data breaches in the last sort of 18 months.
And survived,
yes. But one of those organisations, I hadn't been a customer of theirs for at least 15 years. So they'd clearly been holding on to my data much longer than what was necessary. But what are some of the challenges that you see that businesses face from cyber attacks, and what are some of the strategies that they can use to be able to protect themselves?
I think you raised a couple of very, very critical points. One is your information hasn't been there for something like 15 years. Yet they still were able to, by being breached, for example, your information that is probably old now has still been taken by unlawful people. The problem there starts from the point of view that organizations don't necessarily trust or follow the rules or regulation that are requiring them to keep information only for the time that they actually should be using it. Whether at the time that you were still a customer of theirs or whatever the case may be, depending on the situation or the company that involved, but they don't need to keep it for longer. They just never bother to remove it. But I think some of the other challenges that's one thing. Once the information is there, what we're seeing a lot of times, and one of the key focus for us as an organization and a lot of organizations out there that I know of is about phishing. So all of these wonderful attacks for people that are starting to be very, very smart and very clever in the way that they do it. They basically relying on people's either absent-mindedness or being too busy and paying little attention, clicking on the wrong links, and therefore the entire thing is now breached.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that fear. I think sometimes they say you need to pay this instantly or do this now, act fast. But let's talk a little bit about the explosion of AI and how it's impacting businesses' cybersecurity strategies. We've obviously seen the rise of deep fakes. We've got elections happening all over the world. It's a curious one. AI as a tool for success and safeguarding, but AI as an attack weapon. I'm seeing both sides of it.
Absolutely, and AI just makes things a lot easier. Right. One, you get access to a lot of information very quickly. AI allows an attacker to find information, and quite a lot of information, especially if you are, as you guys sort of started talking while we were waiting about the fact that you've got Facebook or MySpace even, right? All of this information is now available and a lot easier for them to get to. A lot of this information gives them a lot of information about you, which makes it a lot more reliable email or reliable message to point you to the direction that would cause you to be, clicking on that link or being pushed to do something urgently. So AI just makes it all the more easier for everybody to do this.
Yeah.
And Mike, I can confirm you would be in my top 10 friends in MySpace. That was a joke for the Gen X. Today.
Well, hey, you're making a joke, but MySpace, if it's still sitting there active, there's something
exactly
there.
Right. And particularly when it's online and in cloud solutions, we are talking about potentially holding onto this stuff forever. We can always get it back, which is, of course, a really significant risk for organisations. So it's one of the things that we know we need to do is educate our business populations and the users within our organisations. Why is it important to do that, and how can we teach them to ensure that they are doing the right thing?
I love this question, and I think it's fundamental to understanding cybersecurity in a general sense. And that's about the fact that, we used to think that cybersecurity or security in general in the IT industry as well is the role of a security manager or the role of the IT department. But it's never been the case, but it's even now in a world of working remotely and working from everywhere, really, especially with BYOD, everybody's responsible for security. So education and making people aware of the risks, the challenges, how to avoid them, how to identify them becomes ever more critical these days.
Itzik, I'm curious to know about the tools and the technology that businesses can actually utilize to stop cyber attacks. Now, I understand a lot of people out there might be looking for a silver bullet. They think that they've gone and downloaded this software and we can just let our hands off the wheel. It's not the case, is it?
It's not the case at all. It's not, and my answer to that question would always be it depends. And I know it's not very helpful, but it is depending on the situation you're in, which organization it is, what tools you have, what systems you've got. One platform or one monitoring tool doesn't solve all monitoring problems. AvePoint, for example, has policies and insight, which gives you the tools to identify access or lack thereof, or whoever is a stale account, and allow you to do something with it. But those tools are really dependent on the situation in every company. The key here is to continuously monitor, continuously evaluate what you've got, and security is not a sprint; it's a marathon. You always have to continuously adapt.
Yeah. One of the things I say all the time, particularly when it comes to cybersecurity, is it's not if but when. And this is a really serious issue for organisations having to manage this type of threat and this type of attack. It's like, what happens when a business has become a victim of a cyber attack? What next?
Panic.
Yeah. That's the solution for everything.
Panic.
Yeah.
I think panic is actually not a bad thing, as long as the panic is for the right people, not the people that actually need to deal with it. But when it happens, and as you said, it's not if, it's when. It's how you prepare that will determine your next steps and how well you recover from it. And recover either by preventing the real problem from surfacing out, or recovering by minimizing the damage that has been done already. So for me, the key is continuously monitor, continuously work on how to secure infrastructure, how to educate your user, plan for those things, simulate situations of cyber attacks of any type. It's not just one solution fits all. A breach because the email was clicked is very different than if someone stole your entire financial system.
Yeah, very well said. So why do business leaders need to care about all of this? I understand there's new laws coming into place that actually puts CEOs and boards on blast or on task if they fail to protect their customers' data, their employees' data, all the data.
We know also that governments are looking into this as well. Australia has a cybersecurity strategy taking us up to 2030. But, a year ago, I don't think any of us anticipated what, generative AI would do.
Yeah.
What's it going to look like in 6-7 years' time? I don't even think we can anticipate things like that.
Nah.
Yeah, and I think if I could leave something behind, anything, if anything goes away, but this is, it's not just because you need to protect your infrastructure or your company, or as a director you're responsible for it. At the end of the day, we all use a lot of the information, a lot of our email addresses in our personal life. So if you don't do it in the first instance as part of a business, you would probably not do the right thing in your personal life, and it's impacting us all around, not just with work.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So where should people start, business leaders start when it comes to defending themselves online? I know at home on social media, it's two-factor authentication is a big one, but let's talk business leaders as well.
I think it's education. First of all, educate yourself in what the problems are, what the industry is currently seeing. Educate yourself about the legislations coming in or already in existence, and keep working to make sure that your users and the people that are around you are absolutely aware of what's going on and what are the tools available to continuously monitor and manage your infrastructure.
I think one of the things we also have to remember in this is that we are dealing with people's information. And when we look at the Medibank hack that happened, for example, we had a lot of incredibly sensitive information for women in particular that ended up on the dark web, and that can be really devastating because there's a lot of procedures and things like that you don't necessarily want everybody in the world to know that you've had. Yeah. So what's so critical for business leaders to remember is what it is they're actually managing.
I'm with you.
And so when we think about it from that perspective, and we think about this is the information of the people that we're serving, whether it be that through a commercial relationship or a government relationship, things like that, we have a duty of care to protect them personally as well as their information. Itzik, if you could recommend just one thing, if somebody could start with just one thing, what would you say that they should be doing?
I think the one thing that they should be doing is think about what would they do if that happens to them. That would give people the right mindset, I think, to consider this very seriously. It's no longer just someone else's problem. It's now each and every one of us that are responsible to make sure that everything is protected, our personal information and the ones that entrusted us by us.
Itzik, I want to thank you for joining us on the program, highlighting a little bit more about what's going on when it comes to the securing our data, our information online when it comes to businesses, the full 9 yards. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, guys.
I thought you put that really well at the end there. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
That was lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and of course important. And I like that there's a human aspect to what is a digital realm.
Absolutely. And I think that this is one of the things in IT that we can often forget is that everything we do comes back to an individual or comes back to a person, and we have to constantly be thinking of those people and the impact that it can have for them. So
which can be hard to do through a screen.
Absolutely.
But hopefully we've done it to you today and we've gotten through and you've learned something. We want to thank you for joining us on the program, and we look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Go and change your passwords, two-factor authentication, and if you're a business leader, good luck.
Maybe delete MySpace.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.